Hello and welcome to the CleanSlate theme tutorial series. My name is Adam, and today we're going to talk about prerequisites required for creating themes in CleanSlate. In order to help us along this journey, I am going to use this diagram from roadmap.sh/frontend. At the core of the web is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. To make themes in CleanSlate, we also must have a solid foundation of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So for sure, you should understand the basics of HTML. You should know how to write semantic HTML, and you should know how accessibility and HTML are connected in order to make accessible websites. I should note that at this time, we are required under federal law to adhere to the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. So knowing how to write accessible and semantic HTML is very important. In addition to knowing and understanding HTML very well, you should also understand CSS. You should know the basics of CSS. You should know how to make layouts using floats, positioning. You should know that a box model, display properties, maybe flexbox if you want to vertically center something. And you should have an understanding of media queries and understand how to wield CSS to make things look good on your website. In addition to CSS, you do not necessarily need to know JavaScript in order to make themes in CleanSlate, but you should understand how to, for example, attach perhaps open source libraries or scripts to make things on your website like a lightbox or something like that. Having a basic understanding of JavaScript is important for making themes in CleanSlate. In addition to JavaScript, in order to interact with themes in CleanSlate, you should know Git. Git is a version control system used to control changes to a project, changes to a theme. All of our themes use Git. You should know the basics of Git, so how to clone a repository, how to add, commit, push, pull. Basic Git commands are required in order to work with themes in CleanSlate. And along with Git, you'll probably need to know a little bit about the command line. So every operating system, every modern operating system comes with a command line. Knowing some basic commands in the command line is very helpful. Knowing how to list files, knowing how to change directories, how to move up in your directory, how to move back in your directory to go various places in your file system. Perhaps knowing how to create files, create directories, maybe remove files and open files is also very helpful. This react.design/terminal page is very good to get the basics for OS X and Linux-based systems. So in addition to the command line, one thing that is not necessarily required, however, we do use it in most of our themes, maybe all of our themes since about 2012, is a technology called Sass. Sass stands for Syntactically Awesome Style Sheets. And basically it's a lot like CSS, but it needs to be compiled to CSS, from Sass to CSS. So in order to work with Sass and learn Sass, you probably need to have a build tool or task runner of some sort. The most common one that we use is called Gulp. Gulp is a technology that will run various tasks for you. So we have some code that says, okay, take your Sass and compile it to CSS and watch for changes that we make when we change our Sass files. Having an understanding of how Sass works, importing Sass files, Sass partials, importing partials into a manifest file, understanding how Sass compiles from Sass to CSS is very important. Basically, knowing the basics of Sass is important to make themes in CleanSlate if you want to edit a pre-existing theme. So I realize that this is kind of a lot of stuff and that you may need to have a bit of a refresher before you dive into making a theme. So I've outlined a number of resources available to you to get up to speed. One of the ones that I like a lot is called Codecademy. They have both skill paths and career paths and all this stuff, and courses for learning all types of different subjects. If you're looking to touch up on your HTML, you can look at the Introduction to HTML. If you're looking to touch up on your CSS, you can check out the Learn CSS course. They also have a couple of pro exclusive courses. One is Learn Git and the other one's Learn the Command Line. So part of their service is free and then other parts are paid. So these are two paid courses. I believe at this time, a month-to-month subscription is about $40 a month. And if you do a year's subscription, it's $20 a month. Code Academy, the reason I like Code Academy is because it's experiential learning. You read a task and then you have to type into their editor and complete that task using the skills that you're learning at the time. You're actually learning and doing at the same time. Now I realize that having to pay for some courses and extra functionality in Code Academy may not be ideal for some people, so I've got some other resources here to that are completely free that you can learn from as well. So on YouTube is a great resource. This guy Traversy has hundreds and hundreds of videos on making on web development. Learning HTML, learning CSS, learning JavaScript, learning Gulp. Basically any topic you want, he has a video about it. One of the videos I'd recommend to you guys is this NPM crash course. So if you are new to Gulp or new to Node.js or NPM, dependency management, I would definitely check out this NPM crash course. It does a great job of explaining, how NPM fits in with this whole ecosystem of front-end development and making themes in CleanSlate. Additional YouTube channels that you might consider checking out. There's one called the Net Ninja. He has, an HTML and CSS crash course, JavaScript. He's got stuff on Gulp. He's got stuff on, CSS. He's got stuff on Git and GitHub. All types of courses, all really good, high quality stuff. And then there's also Kyle at Web Dev Simplified. He's got an introduction to web dev, introduction to HTML, CSS, JavaScript, stuff like that. Great free resources. Another resource that's also available to us as W employees is this Safari online learning platform. Basically, this gives us access to O'Reilly's comprehensive library of books, videos, and training. They have published books that you can read online. They have courses, like full video recorded courses that you can check out that have been professionally recorded and guide you through different topics. Whether it's Gulp or JavaScript or CSS or whatever, O'Reilly generally does a great job at presenting that to you. Speaking of Gulp, there's also a great tutorial series from Level Up Tutorials, Scott Cholinsky, about learning Gulp, getting up and running with Gulp. This is actually where I first learned Gulp, and I think it's a great playlist, great tutorial series to check out. So if you are looking for a good place to start learning Gulp, check this out. It's really good. For those that might not want to use Gulp, you could also consider using another tool like CodeKit or Prepros. We don't force you to use Gulp by any means, but use whatever is most comfortable to you. So as far as accessibility goes, I would recommend checking out webstandards.wu.edu/accessibility. It's in this main nav up here. We have a number of accessibility pitfalls and recommendations, resources, different resources for various audience types, designers and developers, content creators. If you are new to accessibility or need to touch up on your accessibility skills, I would recommend taking an hour of your time and reading all of the pages under this accessibility page in the web standards site. So to recap, having a rock solid foundation of HTML, knowing CSS, and maybe a little bit of JavaScript is very important when making CleanSlate themes. understanding how to navigate the terminal, how to use Git, understanding how to use Sass in conjunction with either some sort of JavaScript build tool or task runner like Node.js and Gulp or Prepros or CodeKit is very important. And knowing accessibility is important with making CleanSlate themes. So in our next video, we're going to talk about some important history, where CleanSlate started and how we went from 0 sites to over 700 sites now and what we learned between then and now. So stay tuned.